Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals in Dallas as the Warriors look to complete the sweep. And all of a sudden, the Warriors are back to good old. They're seeking their 6th Western Conference title in 8 years. The only franchises to achieve that feat since the NBA and ABA merger in 1976-77 are the Lakers in the 80s and the Bulls in the 90s. Steph Curry might be 34, but he's looking like the Steph Curry that was 24. Curry has 7 30-point games, tied for third most in the single postseason. He's had 9 in 2015, 10 in 2019. Both of those, they won the title. And Andrew Wiggins has been fantastic. The best two-way player on the court. He's been the primary defender assigned to Luka Doncic on 148 half-court matchups. Doncic is 13 of 19 this series when defended by Wiggins. Let's now bring in our reporters, Kendra Andrews and Tim McMahon, who are covering Game 4 in Dallas. Kendra, I want to start with you. The Warriors are 1 win away from getting back to the NBA Finals for the first time in 3 years. So what is the team saying about this opportunity tonight?
Yeah, Taylor, when Draymond Green was asked a couple days ago, what does it mean to be 1 win away from the finals? He said, well, it means just that. We're 1 win away. We have unfinished business against a very good Dallas Mavericks team. So the Warriors are trying to not look too far ahead, especially because the Warriors have struggled in their first closeout opportunities all postseason long. But Stephen Curry said we've learned from those missed opportunities, so they're going to try and get it done here tonight. Steve Kerr told me he can tell when his team is going to be locked in from the jump, and he bases it off of how he sees Steph and Draymond Green conducting themselves heading into the game. So he's really looking for those veteran players to set the tone for the rest of the team.
Now, on the flip side, Luka Doncic and Dallas are on the brink of their season ending. Now, Luka Doncic faces elimination for the 5th time tonight. But if he plays anywhere near where he has been in the previous 4 games, the Mavericks will have a shot to stay alive. Look at this. Doncic has 152 points in 4 elimination games. That is second most in NBA history, behind only Wilt Chamberlain. Tim, that's where I want you to come in here, because Luka and the Mavs mindset heading into tonight's must-win game, what is it exactly?
Yeah, Jason Kidd has talked about this being just the beginning of the journey for the Mavericks. Him in his first year with a 23-year-old generational talent. Luka Doncic reminded us of his age, said he's still learning. This is an educational experience, but the Mavericks don't know where the white flag is the way Jason Kidd put it. There's no quit here. And Luka Doncic has said several times last series when the odds were stacked against him, again this series, this is a team that's going to believe until the very end. So his competitive spirit can't be in any question. Now, we'll see if they're good enough tonight to extend this series or this educational experience, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, the problem is, Tim, history is not on the Mavs side, with no NBA team ever coming back from an 0-3 deficit to win a 7-game series.
Trying to avoid a 3-0 series deficit.
Your best players, they have to set the tone and have one of those games.
Dallas's aggressiveness is really impressive tonight.
Luka Magic on full display here. Stephen Curry once again going into his bag.
A good game 3, and we've got it. It's the 3rd quarter again. The difference for the Warriors. That's all she wrote. 1 win away from the NBA Finals.
All right, let's now bring in NBA champion Matt Barnes. Matt, looking as sharp as always. And you're never one to sit on the fence when given an opinion, so let's do it. Do the Warriors finish the sweep, or do the Mavs force Game 5?
I think the Warriors finished the sweep. I initially had this game going 6, but the Warriors are the one team I feel like throughout this playoff that have continued to just get better. Obviously, you want to come into the playoffs peaking. This team won 5 games in a row to end the season, but they haven't looked their best at certain points in this playoffs. And I just think because they continue to build that chemistry, a lot of key guys missed a lot of key time. So this team, to me, continues to improve game after game, series after series, and they're looking really tough right now. So I expect them to close out Dallas tonight.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point about momentum, because if Golden State wins tonight, they'll have over a week of rest before Game 1 of the Finals a week from Thursday. Matt, don't go anywhere, as we're going to come back to you to talk about the Eastern Conference, because, Kevin, the pressure is going to be on both of you to make sense of what's going on. What are the Heat and Celtics honestly doing, coming from the degenerate gambler myself?
Well, Matt and I are going to be like the Spider-Man gif, right? Just pointing at each other. What do you think, huh? 18-1, 26-4.
18-1, by the way.
In the first quarter. Game over last night. Over. 31 from Jason Tatum. How about the Heat starters? A combined 18 points. Game 5 is Wednesday night. Tim Bontemps beginning our coverage.
The Boston Celtics have proven very good at responding well to losses, but responding well to wins, not so much. After trading wins with the Milwaukee Bucks through the first 6 games of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Celtics have now done so again through the first 4 games of this Eastern Conference final against the Miami Heat. Now, as the series shifts back to Miami for Game 5, the Celtics know they have to play with the same sense of urgency they've only had so far after losses. Not turning the ball over helps too. We feel the next game is do or die, Jason Tatum said. For a report on the Heat, here's Nick Friedel.
Timmy B, the Heat remain as confident as ever going into Game 5. That confidence is flowing because of the belief they built up all season long. Bam Adebayo said this team has always found a way, no matter what kind of obstacle they've had to face. Eric Spoelstra said, what they did to us in Game 4, we can do to them in Game 5. For the Heat, it all centers around the health of Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler. With Hero, that groin strain is still an issue, and his status for Game 5 is unclear. For Jimmy Butler, he said his knee's feeling fine, which usually means that's something that he's thinking about. But despite all the obstacles in their path, the Heat remain steadfast in their belief they can still find a way to win.
NBA champion Matt Barnes is back. Matt, this is the Eastern Conference Finals, and we have seen wild outcomes on a game-to-game basis. Which team do you trust more and why?
Trust is a big word, and I'm going to say I trust Boston more. I think their resume to get here has been very impressive. And they, and one thing if you learn about this series, whether you lose by 30, you lose by 1, it's just one loss. And each team has bounced back really well off of losses. But when I look at this Boston Celtics team, they can just give it to you offensively in so many different ways. But I also think that the health of Marcus Smart and Robert Williams really changed the trajectory of this team. So they're going to need both these guys, I feel like, to finish this team off. But Miami scares me because of what you guys just mentioned. Hero, growing strain, hasn't really had a productive offensive series. And then Jimmy Butler, go second half of Game 3, he sits out, comes back Game 4, doesn't play very well. I just don't know if Miami has enough scoring. They need Bam to be very aggressive, but with Williams' length, sometimes that alters Bam's, just approach to the game.
We've seen good and bad Bam. We've seen a lot of injured players in this series. And when a series is tied 2-2 in a best of 7, the winner of Game 5 advances nearly 82% of the time. We're here for all the smoke from Matt Barnes on SportsCenter. And we remind you that Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and Heat comes your way tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on ESPN and the app. Series tied at 2-2. The countdown